Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the webinar on the IHI for Call 8 on novel endpoints for osteoarthritis by applying big data analytics. My name is Nassima, and I will be your moderator today. And before we start, I just want to give you some information about the webinar. So we are recording this session, and it will be published on the IHI website. We will also publish the presentation slide. The call will be launched shortly, and all the links and details of how to apply will be published on the IHI website and the Funding and Funders portal. Important information, if you want to ask questions, please use the chat function on the right corner of your screen, and we will address them at the end of the presentation. I will also add that we have people online. So we have Geraldine, she's a scientific officer for this topic, and she's going to kick off with the presentation. We also have Matthias Schicker from Novartis, who is going to present the topic itself. And we have Carolina, who is a legal officer, to help you reply to some questions that you will have. So now I will hand over to Geraldine for the presentation.
Good morning and welcome everybody to this webinar. I will go through what we're going to discuss today shortly. So we're going to cover first a brief introduction to the IHI program. Then we will have the presentation from Matthias from Novartis on the topic itself. Then we will go through a few tips on proposal submission and evaluation, and also on how to write a successful proposal. We will not cover today the rules and procedures. The reason why is because we already covered this in a webinar that has been published, and you can find the link here and the presentation. So what is IHI? IHI, or the Innovative Health Initiative, is an EU partnership in health between the European Union, which is represented by the European Commission, and the healthcare industries. These are represented by different industrial associations. Among themselves, we have COSIR for medical imaging and health ICT, EFPIA, that includes Vaccines Europe, and this is about pharmaceutical and vaccines industries. We have Europa Bio with the biotech industry, and MedTech Europe, which covers the medical technology industry. Our objectives are to turn health research and innovation into real benefits for patients and also for the society at large. Another of our objectives is to deliver safe, effective health innovations that cover the whole spectrum of care. What we mean by the whole spectrum of care is that we want to go from prevention to diagnosis and treatment. And we focus in areas where there is an unmet public health need. Another of our general objectives is to make Europe's health industries globally competitive. How do we manage to cover all these objectives? Is by funding projects. IHI projects are created via an open and competitive calls for proposals. What we try to do with these projects is that we have a cross-sectoral public-private partnership. So we leverage the contributions from our industrial partners, from the IHI industry associations that I presented before, and if relevant, contributions from contributing partners as well. And the other half of the funding is coming by public funding via the European Commission, and this comes from the Horizon Europe funding. We have a strategic research and innovation agenda which lays the foundation and details in more gives more details about the objectives that we're trying to achieve. So our focus, as I was saying before, is on cross-sectoral approaches, and we want to facilitate the creation of new products and services to prevent, intercept, diagnose, treat, and manage diseases, and also foster recovery more efficiently. Our final goal is to lay the foundations and improve the development of safer and more effective healthcare products or solutions that, as I was saying before, respond to unmet public health needs, and that can be implemented, that are realistically implementable into healthcare systems. All the research that we support at IHI should remain at pre-competitive level. If you want to read more, you have the link here of our research and innovation agenda. Next slide.
Sorry, we seem to have an issue with the presentation. Very good.
Thank you. Okay, so if we go a little bit more on the details on how our call works and how we are structured, we have two types of calls. We have single stage calls and two-stage calls. This is a two-stage call, so I will go into a little bit more detail in explaining how this works. Basically, a two-stage call is when we have an industry consortium, so several of our members have come together and decided to work together on a specific challenge that they have. And they have decided to also pull together resources to tackle that challenge. They, in fact, prepare the topic text about that challenge. And after these topics are approved by the IHI governing board, we put out the call as a call for proposal with this topic. In stage one of the call for proposal, we have the industry consortium that will step aside and will give the floor, let's say, to the applicant consortium. The applicant consortium is a group of mostly public partners. This can be academics, hospitals, but also regulators, patient organizations, and SMEs that are bringing some of the expertise that is needed to tackle this challenge. This applicant consortium will work towards preparing a short proposal, and this proposal will be submitted at the call deadline. We will have an evaluation process that is done by independent experts that will evaluate the proposals that are put out by the applicant consortiums. Only the most highly scored proposal will pass to the stage two. The stage two is when we will invite the winning consortium to merge with the pre-identified industry consortium and prepare a full proposal. Once this full proposal is submitted, there is another round of evaluation by independent experts, and we will move, if the proposal is successful, to the granting phase. This is not a ranking exercise anymore, but it's a go, no-go decision about the project. If the granting phase is successful, we will then move to the signature of the grant agreement and of the consortium agreement and hopefully the project launch. Next slide. And now with this, I give the floor to Matthias that will tell us about the challenge.
Thank you very much. I hope you can all hear me. It's a great pleasure that you allow us to present here and that we can share the thoughts. So just as a very quick introduction, my name is Matthias Schieker. I'm a trained surgeon. I'm a former professor of regenerative medicine at the University of Munich, and I'm currently leading the early pipeline at Novartis on osteoarthritis with 5 compounds under development. And I'm joined by Gunther Jansen, who is the head of multimodal data and analytics group. And he used to be the global head of personalized healthcare analytics and is a big expert in the data field. So the two of us partner up. I will present and we will both try to answer all your questions. So we're talking about the proposal of novel endpoints for osteoarthritis by applying big data analysis. If you could please go to the next slide. Just framing the scene and sharing with you the challenges that we currently see and that hopefully can be addressed. Is osteoarthritis affects the lives of more than 57 million people in Western Europe and 500 million people worldwide, significantly reduces the quality of life, is associated with increased mortality, and has relevant personal, financial, health, economic impact. The prevalence is expected to increase, and aging, obesity, knee injuries are driving this disease, and we are living in an aging society, and the annual healthcare costs in the key European countries are up to 7 billion euros. The challenge for drug development to develop therapies for OA is to measure the treatment effects in a slowly progressive disease. And OA has a heterogeneous pathomechanistic background and various disease trajectories. And various development efforts over the last 30, 40 years have failed to provide relevant disease-modifying treatments. And it is very crucial to stratify the different patient groups and then somehow specifically target or put the treatments to target specific needs of the patient groups. And this hopefully consortium should be a concerted action of various fields of expertise and across, and you can read this here, across various fields, and really looking at existing data to change the way how we can treat OA patients. So in summary, we want to change the way we treat the patients by upscaling big data analysis and to identify the right patient, to develop modern outcome tools, to measure disease progression, and use digital twin approaches to predict disease progression. If you could go to the next slide. So why is there a need for public-private cross-sector collaboration? In a way, we need to develop insights into disease drivers, and that can then come up with treatment strategies to address pain, function, and joint survivors in patient, and that has not worked over years. So typically in drug development, small sample sizes are used in early trials, and patients are not stratified, and the biomarkers and the outcome measures are not sensitive enough. So this limits somehow to detect treatment effects in clinical trials. And in view of the increasing patient numbers and some of the devastating impact of OA, really a cross disciplinary team of experts together with the patients, clearly stating the patient's needs, the caregivers, the regulators, and all the experts coming together and leveraging in modern times now the tools of modern AI technology and big data analysis to really come up with new ways how we find solutions for OA patients. And only in this concerted action in a cross-sectoral public-private partnership, we think that we can bring together the necessary skills and really translate newly generated knowledge into strategy to treat the disease. And the IHI consortium provides, or IHI provides, a framework for bringing together these various public and private stakeholders and to have a facilitated dialogue, including patients, physiotherapists, caregivers, and many more. And this is somehow why we truly think that this big problem of osteoarthritis should be addressed in this public-private partnership. If you could please go to the next slide. So what's the scope? How should this be done? So in a way, partnering up together in this public-private partnership, we should really improve the understanding of OA and use big data analysis and innovative methodologies with increased computing power to achieve three main points. So first, to integrate different perspectives to improve the understanding of osteoarthritis as a complex disease. Second, to foster the progress towards regulatory validation of patient-relevant endpoints to measure and predict OA disease progression, as well as alternative endpoints to measure response to treatment. And third, to allow predictive modeling while actively seeking feedback to incorporate the perception of patients, and again, patients, caregiver, primary care physicians, and regulators. If you could please go to the next slide. What's the expected impact? And you all have this in the topic text, and somehow this is summarizing what is in the topic text. We want to achieve with by federated integration of big data from disparate data sources to do a digital twin approach and use technologies to really lay the foundation for advanced clinical trial design to allow for more efficient and smaller trials from our perspective in drug development perspective, but moreover to reduce patients' burden and exposure to placebo in drug development. Second, the goal is to develop predictive models for disease progression and joint replacement. We want to achieve stratification of different patient groups and target the treatments to patients' needs and preferences, really, again, from the beginning on, involving patients' needs and regulatory perspective and various stakeholder perspectives in this broad expert public-private partnership, and include tools that enable specific functional measures, because what patients and somehow how what are the needs is to improve symptoms, to improve function, and somehow to stop the progression of disease. That is what it comes down in osteoarthritis. Next slide, please. So what are the expected outcomes? And obviously, this is what the industry consortium has come up with, the suggestions. And as Geraldine outlined, there will be further discussions on the way forward when the final consortium is planned. But the expected outcomes are to have algorithms and models, including AI-based models, that really can handle huge amount of data and identify OA patient subpopulations that will benefit from specific treatments. The validation strategy should be provided to come up with novel endpoints that can measure disease progression and allow for regulatory acceptance. Then a decision tool should be developed based on prediction modeling that should allow for shared decision making for patients, the caregivers, so to really show transparently the trajectories where the patient somehow have what the patient should expect with regards to their slowly progressing disease. A robust, trustworthy, and interpretable AI framework is established. That is very much needed, and maybe Gunther can talk more about this, because there are guidelines needed to really determine the boundaries with regards to data use and predictive modeling. And so this framework will be crucial in this consortium. And data platforms need to be established, designed, implemented to have a workable and efficient collaborative approach in the data analysis. If you could please go to the next slide. So the expected contributions by the industry consortium, I want to start with just repeating what the partners in the industry consortium, and it's large pharma and biotech companies who are highly interested in, as said, developing solutions and drugs for the patient's needs, and they're listed here. And it's a quite strong industry consortium, and this consortium can contribute data from existing or ongoing clinical trials and biobank data, real-world data, biomarker data, and obviously expertise, medical expertise, bioinformatics, data science, public health. And I won't read all the expertise listed here, but a broad spectrum of expertise. And technology, data science and imaging technology. Imaging is a crucial part of measuring the disease progression, and we're very happy that Siemens Healthineers and Amorphic Strikers are partner who have a strong expertise with regards to using innovative AI-based technologies to measure osteoarthritis disease progression in MRI. If you could please go to the next slide. So what are the expected contributions of the applicants? So expertise and resources to be expected to be brought to the project. And there's OA disease-specific expertise needed, and we again listed here various domains we think that would be needed to really keep this consortium focused and delivering on the needs for patients and the regulatory approval of future potential novel outcomes. AI-driven big data analysis, data science, bioanalytics. So this is a big data analysis program. So this will be a very huge, important part. And so we listed here, for instance, epidemiology, genetic GWAS analysis, epigenetics, and some partners that have demonstrated expertise in generating and analyzing data from digital tools, imaging, and all that. So it's really big data analysis, and this is what this project aims for. Proven expertise with prior patient engagement. We want to highlight this again, and I said it, I think 2 or 3 times already. This is to find novel endpoints for osteoarthritis that is addressing the patient's needs and can allow for finding solutions to really focus to deliver to the patient needs. And then expertise with regards to regulatory aspects. And so especially here from the beginning on, being focused to work on a project that can then potentially be seen as relevant on the regulatory side. The resources, so huge part will be timely access to data from registry cohorts and any really relevant data collection that is critical for the success of this action. And then technology, data lake infrastructure, tools to curate and enrich and augment the data for the AI model that will be applied. Next slide, please. Key facts. So I won't read the numbers here, but this is quite, so we're very happy that IHI committed to support, or I won't say committed, but that IHI is willing to support this public-private partnership, and really this should be allow for having a meaningful consortium to really address all the points that I listed earlier. And we had thought of a duration of 16 months, but this will be defined in the final proposal. Next slide, please. With that, I want to thank you for the attention. We are very happy that we have the opportunity to present here, and we are open for questions. Thank you.
Before the questions, we will go to a few more slides from my side, and then we move to the questions. So just a few reminders on the proposal submission. You have at your disposal all the proposal templates on our website. As you probably already know, there are 3 parts that are part of a proposal that needs to be submitted. There's the part A, which is the administrative data, and this is entered in web forms through the Funding and Tenders portal. Then we have the part B, which is the narrative part, and this narrative part includes 3 sections: excellence, impact, and quality and efficiency of the implementation. We really advise you to read all the instructions in the proposal template very carefully. You already have there a lot of information on how to build a proposal and what needs to be included in each of the section. And then you will see you have an annex, which is the participant types that also needs to be filled up. If we move quickly to what the evaluation criteria that we're going to use, these are the classic excellence, impact, and implementation. They really reflect the structure of your proposal. So make yourself known that these are the evaluation criteria, and it's important that you know that the proposals would be judged on all of these criteria and sub-criteria that are here. So it's important you're familiar with them. Finally, a few tips for you. We really, please read all the call relevant material, especially the topic text. Take into account that the topic that is published now on the website might not be the final version. So only the official version that will be published shortly on the official IHI website is the version that you need to read and make yourself familiar with. And this is the topic text towards which you need to prepare your presentation. We really encourage you to form your consortium early and already think from the beginning in terms of public-private partnership. At the first stage, even if it's only the public consortium that is working towards the proposal, you still need to keep in mind that at the second stage, there will be all the industry contributions and that you will have to work as one full consortium towards the final proposal. Then make sure that all the information that is requested in the call text and the proposal template is there. This will help a lot the evaluation, and the easier you make it for the evaluators to be able to understand your proposal and to see that you're actually addressing all the points that are in the topic text, the better it will be. And from the beginning, we really also urge you to consider and plan for the potential regulatory impact of the results of the project. You also have a link here to our guide for applicants and also to some suggestions on the regulatory considerations of your projects. And finally, because a good project is mostly a good consortium, and here you have some suggestions on how to best find some partners. You can network with your contacts that you already have, and then also with the participants of the IHI Call Days. You can use the B2Match platform that you have the link here. Then you can also use the EU Funding and Tenders Portal partner search tool. And of course, you can get in touch with your IHI national contact point and use the network to network on social media. And you have here our handles and our social media links. With this, I think we can move on to the questions.
Thank you very much, Matthias and Geraldine, for your presentation. I encourage you to drop your question in the chat box, but meanwhile, I would like to promote the last two sessions that we will have for the last two topics. So we will have a webinar this afternoon and the last one tomorrow afternoon. I also would like to quickly speak about how to book meetings via the B2Match platform. So as Geraldine was saying, the B2Match platform is really the place to network and start building the consortia. So if you want to book a meeting, it's 4 easy steps. So you need to make yourself available on the platform. You can look for partners on the participant tab, and you select the date, the time, the attendees. You can be up to 8 per meeting, and you send a message and you meet online. So it's really important to be there and to be seen as well. So now we can move to the question session. I will stop sharing the presentation. So I can see that we have a first question from Marina. So Marina is asking, in the context of the development of the data analytics infrastructure and data platform, is the necessary infrastructure expected to be provided by the pre-identified industrial partners, or is it considered that one of the non-industrial partners could take on this responsibility? So I don't know who would like to address.
I can start off and then hand over to Gunther. So there is not a mandatory predefined industry consortium infrastructure. So this will be up for discussion during step 2. So there is flexibility, and I think various options should be discussed. And if there's a partner coming from the academic field with a strong infrastructure that should be brought in, this is not limited. So the answer is not predefined and should be discussed in the second step of the program to find the best solution.
Thank you. I don't know, Gunther, if you would like to add something or no.
It's the same I would have said. Yeah,
Thank
it's
you very
up for
much.
discussion. Yeah.
Now we have a question from Thomas. He's asking, are explainable mechanism-oriented models, in bracket, these are not AI ML models that are fit to big data, in scope with a focus on the cellular and tissue level, question mark?
Yeah, I can maybe also start on that one. So that's a very good question. In principle, what we're trying to do here is really collect the necessary data to be able to answer some of the questions that we cannot do today because the data is not sort of combined. What exact methods are used to really come to the really important answers that we need, both on a disease level as well as on a predictive level? that is open for discussion as part of the consortium. So to answer your question, there is no obligation only to do AI or only to do non-AI. However, there needs to be some considerations about how do we develop a model that's explainable, that we understand how biased or not it is, how generalizable or domain adaptable is this model, and can we actually use that for the purpose that we intend. Plus, what's really unique about this consortium then going forward will be that we also build in the regulatory aspects as well as the patient level aspects that allows us also to really gauge the appetite and the value of such a model and what we're predicting here. So the answer is all of these methods are open. There's no limit to some extent. It's much more important that we have something that's robust, applicable, and useful.
Thank you, Gunther. And now here we have a question from Ines for the IHI office. When will the call be launched? When will the deadline for proposal submission be?
Yes, I can take that. So the call will be launched very shortly in the few coming days, and then you will have around 2.5 months to prepare the proposal. But please really refer to the official information that will be published on our website shortly enough.
Thank you, Geraldine. I don't see any other question. Please feel free to use the chat box, because this is really your only opportunity to get the information directly from the topic writers. So please use this change. And also what Geraldine was referring to for the call launch, I will encourage you to follow us on our social media to know when the call will be launched. No, I don't see any new question. So I assume that the presentation was really clear. So let's wait a few minutes to see if we get any other question from the audience. There might be one. Yes, we do have a new one. Someone is asking, will there be official IHI pitching session on this topic? It's more for IHI. So I would say no, it's not a single stage call. It's a two-stage call. So you have to know that there is a big difference between the single stage and two-stage. So pitches are only done when we have a single stage call. So there won't be any for this one. Another question, will the industry partners be contributing clinical data?
So that's a clear answer, yes. And but maybe I can use the opportunity, and since there are no more, so far no more questions, to make a comment. So as the industry consortium, we have spent a lot of time thinking about this, but we are totally aware and we are very happy. And I was told that this call has a lot of participants and that there's a lot of interest, but the discussion will happen at the second step. So while we try to be as specific as needed, I want to highlight, and obviously industry from the private side, we have some thoughts, but there will be a lot of upcoming discussions. And I just want to stress this, that we are very happy that there's so much interest and that we're very much looking forward, hopefully, to having very good discussions and somehow aligning them on what's the best way forward. So, and yes, we will contribute, as I mentioned, data, expertise, knowledge, technology. That's what the private side will bring to the table for the discussions to define the second step to define the final proposal.
Maybe just to add on that, we do have several partners, so more than one pharma company with active programs in OA that have agreed to share their data. So that much is clear.
And so if we allow, then I guess we have a bit more time. I just continue to add one aspect. One of the limitations in the field is that clinical trial data is, as I said, small data, small number of patients, durations up to 3 years, and OA is a slowly progressive disease. And that's the strength of this consortium, that additional data is needed, various data sets, as I mentioned, registries and others, that have patients followed up over long time periods to see the progression of the slowly progressing disease. So the data that the clinical trial data from private side is important, but to come to meaningful results, the registries and large data sets are needed, as mentioned and outlined in the topic text. So there's a need to add on to the industry data.
Okay, thank you, Matthias and Günther, for your reply. So I don't see any more question in the chat box. There is one new one. Let's address it. So we have a question. What is the expectation of the FPA partners in this IHI call regarding patient partner and patient organization participation? Do you expect a single patient organization acting on behalf of several entities or multiple independent patient partners?
I assume there's no limitation from IHI side, so I answer from the private side. There's no limitation. So I think the best way forward is as lean as possible, as somehow structured as possible, but as comprehensive as possible. I know that I'm a bit like being high level here, but that's the nature of the call. It's a two-step call. We will see somehow how the partners can help all together and coming all together to be meaningful. I think there is no limitation here, but just keep in mind as comprehensive and as lean as possible to make this efficient.
Again, here, maybe from my side, I really would like to confirm again that we really take both the regulatory and especially the patient side very seriously. It's a slowly progressing long-term disease. So the patient perspective is really crucial to develop tools and predictions that are actually meaningful in a certain way. And therefore, that perspective is really welcomed. It's really essential and unique for us as well as part of this consortium to see that perspective.
Thank you. Now we have a question from Feta asking, are we allowed to have SMEs as partners in the project?
Yes, indeed, you are allowed to have SMEs, and SMEs are eligible for funding as well.
Obviously, if they come from from European countries or countries associated to Horizon Europe, then they're eligible for funding this.
Thank you. And the next one is from Yotam. Can data and partners from outside the EU, in bracket USA, can be included?
So it's pretty much, I would say, the same answer. So yes, they can be included, but entities based in the United States are not eligible for funding. We explain in detail in the webinar that took place a couple of days ago, the one called Rules and Procedures. We explain in detail who may participate in IHI calls and who is eligible for funding. So entities based in the US, which is a country, obviously not EU country, and country not associated to Horizon Europe, are not eligible for funding. There are some very special cases when beneficiaries coming from US may be exceptionally considered eligible for funding, but this is a separate, complicated topic, and my colleague Desmond explained it a couple of days ago in detail in the legal webinar that is on our website.
Thank you, Carolina. I don't see any new other question. No, we don't have any other question. So
if there are some specific questions after the webinar, we also have a mailbox.
yes,
so you can send us questions, also legal questions. We are happy to answer.
yeah, indeed. So I mean, if you have question related to the B2Match platform, feel free to write to the event mailbox. And if it's for the call itself, so we have the applicant's mailbox that you can use, and we will be happy to help you and answer your questions.
Yes. Maybe we can also remind that it's strictly forbidden to contact the topic leaders. So any questions you might have on the topic itself, you send them to the applicant's mailbox, and we will do the necessary.
Yes, so the IHI office will reply, but obviously not the topic writers.
Yeah.
I'm just checking. No. So we don't have any more questions. So I know that it's a bit early, but I think that we can close this webinar. So I will thank you, Matthias. There is one new question. Okay, so let's take this question. So the question is, could you please elaborate how a risk model of disease progression should be validated if no clinical studies are supported by these topics. Question from Sylvia.
I start and Gunther, then you continue. And this was a discussion that we in the industry consortium had together with IHI, and there was a lot of discussion along these lines. And to be very clear, the expectation of this program is not to have a validated model. We focus very much on that regulatory input is needed and the patient is needed, but the outcome, and it's clearly, so we try to be very specific in the text, in the topic text. The outcome is to be ready for validation. So all of the consortium should really work towards having a validated model. But we thought that the time frame is not enough to come up with a validated model within this program. And having said this, the overall goal is to have a validated model, but not within this consortium. And therefore, we all know how long time it takes to do prospective studies. And so I think the expectation is that the final consortium comes up with a clear plan of the next steps needed and somehow with an alignment with the regulators, how to achieve a validated model. But the expectation is not to have it validated within the framework of this consortium. And future studies will be needed, just to be clear, to validate this. So your question is very relevant and highly appreciated. So that is then the next step after this consortium.
Thank you, Matthias. Then I don't see any other questions. No, there is no new question for the moment. Let's wait a few minutes because we still have time. Yeah. Again, this is your only opportunity to get the information from the topic writer. So if you have a question, just drop it in the chat box. I don't know, no new question. So yeah, now I think we can close the webinar. So yes, so thank you very much, Matthias and Gunther, Geraldine and Carolina for your answering this question and for your presentation. I would also like to thank the audience for their interest in this topic. And I wish you good luck for your proposal, and I hope to see you this afternoon for our next webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Hi, everyone.